Welcome back to Toys on Tap. This week is another incredible week. I know I say that every week, but this week I really mean it, with Blake from ToyCollectr magazine coming on Toys on Tap. If you're wondering how they are able to produce something so incredible, Blake is the entire team. Layout, publication, shipping, all the stuff that goes into making a magazine. He is the team, and it is an incredible conversation to find out how he got to that point, and we are so excited that we got to have him on. If you want more Toys on Tap, you can like, follow, rate, review wherever you get podcasts. It helps us. It gives us all the love and support to keep us going, and it costs you nothing. So if you go to Apple and you leave us a 5-star review with a fun little comment about how you love us, that will get that podcast pushed to other people. You can do the same thing on Spotify, follow along as well. And wherever you get podcasts is super helpful. If you want to follow us even more, Instagram is where you can see all the cool stuff that we've got going on. And even more, if you want to sponsor an episode, get an ad on the episode, be a part of the newsletter, anything, send me a message and we will talk and get things rolling, because we would love to get your projects some air. We know that some of you have Kickstarters or toy launches or all that, and so we would love to do that for you. Now let's get to this week's episode of Toys on Tap. I'm pumped to have you on. Everyone has seen the magazine. If you do any kind of toy anything, you've at least heard about it and seen it.
Boy, I'd hope so at this point, but you never know.
And so it's exciting to have you on. Like we start every episode, please introduce yourself. Tell us who you are and what you do.
My name is Blake Wright. I am the publisher and editor-in-chief of ToyCollectr magazine. I've also authored 3 books in a series called Toys That Time Forgot.
We have to talk about all of it today. So I'm pumped that we get to do that. Before we do that, you got to take me back to your childhood. Toys obviously played a significant role in your life, with all the stuff that you're doing, and looking at the covers of the magazines, flipping through them. You can see the love that goes into it and the love for toys, plus the collection behind you. So take me back to childhood. What are the toys that are driving you nuts that you're playing with, the cartoons you're watching, all that stuff?
So I grew up in a house with 3 older brothers. So I inherited a bunch of toys from them as I grew. The first true action figure that I can remember ever playing with was the 12-inch $6 Million Man.
Oh, cool.
And that wasn't mine. That was one of my brothers. But I remember, using the little bionic eye, looking through it and doing all that crazy stuff. And, but I guess when Star Wars came out in 1977, I was 8.
Okay. So you're like prime age.
Just perfect. Yeah. It was just, I was staring at the screen with my mouth wide open going, what is this? You know? And, so, that was from that. It's an old story, but it's true for a lot of us, man. Star Wars sent us on the path, right? And, we just, I would, every time I get a good grade, I'd get a Star Wars figure. Every time I'd, cut the yard, I'd get a Star Wars figure. Every time I, did whatever chore or, did something good in school, I got a Star Wars figure. So, and that lasted through most of Return of the Jedi, probably. By that time, I started kind of getting into other things. I played baseball and girls, and you name it. But what brought me back into toys, funnily enough, was Star Wars. Back in the mid-90s when they re-released everything. The story I tell about that usually is I was in a Toys R Us, RIP, with my mother. And I was a college kid, so I was, actually I was out of college by then. So I was 23, 24 years old. And I didn't have a dime, in my wallet, but we were there for my, for a birthday present for my nephew. And so I walked on over to 7C just to see what was going on. I had been on an action figure out in a very long time.
Yeah.
And so I perused it and I was like, oh, this is cool. You know, all of the great gaudy 90s extreme colors were everywhere.
Yeah.
And, you know,
Yeah.
but then I stumbled across this boxed land speeder.
Mm-hmm.
It was just sitting there. That was it was just there one of them. And there was nothing else around it. No figures, no nothing. And I looked at this thing and I picked it up. And I remember it was $9.99. Remember where you could buy a land speeder for $9.99? And I sat there and stared at it. And then I realized the figures on the box weren't the classic figures. They were different. And so I didn't know what to think. So much like that 8-year-old would have done, I took that box and went over to my mother and said, Mom, will you buy this for me? At that point, I could say, I will pay you back.
Yeah.
But, and she just looked at me, kind of made a face, and then took the box and put it in the basket. And then literally the next day, at work, I went out onto the 1996 version of the internet.
The worst part of the internet.
Yeah. Well, it's right at the beginning, right? So,
yeah.
And you're trying to find anything. And so I came across the Hasbro press release about the re-release of the figures. And I was just like, oh my God, they're putting Star Wars stuff back out. And, and I didn't care that they were way over buffed and just not, on model at all. I gobbled them up. And
when you were a kid in that prime spot,
mm-hmm.
which first, mom's for the win.
Yeah.
Taking care of toys since the 70s. Thank you.
Yeah.
When you were a kid and you were in that prime age, if I remember correctly, Star Wars figures didn't exist when the movie came out. So
right.
You got the empty box or whatever.
I got the promissory.
Did you do that?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
I got the early bird kit for Christmas.
Yeah. Which is such a cool thing, but also the worst to give a kid of here's the potential of what you're going to get.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like a promissory note, right? It's like, I owe you one set of 4 figures.
Yeah.
Because, but even at that point, even at that young age, I kind of understood what had gone down. They were, the license came to Kenner extremely late in the game.
Yeah.
Like a month before the movie came out, and they weren't going to have them done in time, So, I mean, once it was explained to me, I was like, well, it's not the best, but okay. Yeah. I knew I'd get them eventually, and I did.
Yeah. How long did it take?
February or March of next year. No, it was pretty quick after that. It was okay. Well, it was February or March of the next year. So you got the box, because they had been making them already, but they just weren't ready. You got the box at Christmas, and then literally February, March, somewhere in the late winter, early spring of the next year. So you only had to wait 3 or 4 months.
Okay, that's not bad. I wait longer than that for pre-sales. So
think about pre-orders nowadays. I'm still waiting on stuff I ordered 3 years ago.
Yeah, that is crazy. And then seeing in the 90s, I mean, the 90s is characterized by the craziest of toys, right? Every toy had pockets and giant muscles and all kinds of stuff. And having that reignite, you get that one land speeder, you see the press release. What's the next thing so I'm born in 1990. So this is the dream scenario for me. Do you just go out and start buying all the ones you could find? I
started looking for them. Yeah. I was because the release actually said, the figures were going to follow, or the figures would come out around the same time. And so literally I was calling Toys R Us trying to buy. And the problem is that you would call and say, hey, do you have Star Wars figures? And they would go, oh yeah, we got them. Come on. It was like, oh great. You go by there, and the kid was talking about the Bendums.
Yeah.
Because they were out at the same time. It's like, no, not these. Hasbro's re-releasing them. It's like, blah, blah, blah. They were looking at you all puzzled. You're like, okay, never mind. Yeah. So I remember distinctly, we found them. We did find them. We found everybody except Leia and 3PO. Those were the 2 hard ones to find. Yeah. Out of that first assortment of 10 or 12. Leia, of course, came to be known as Monkey Face Leia because she was not an attractive figure, but still, it was Princess Leia. You wanted her, right? And 3PO, I forget what his problem was. There was actually a delay in uh, manufacturing with him for some reason. But we ended up, calling around and finding those. Put them on hold. We drive across town and grab them.
Man.
And then pretty quickly after that, more sets would start coming out. Because I remember I guess it was the Empire Strikes Back wave, because I distinctly remember getting that Yoda. And before long, I had a toy room again. Well, a toy room period, because I didn't have one as a kid. I was just ripping this stuff open and playing with it. I was less of that and more of keeping stuff in package when the new stuff was coming out.
Yeah. I mean, and then that whole decade is crazy because they're releasing all that. Then you have the release of Phantom Menace in '99, and those figures. And again, I'm assuming you started collecting those as well. Did you also have Jar Jar Binks on your shelf like everyone should have?
Yeah. So we did Midnight Madness for Phantom Menace. One of the cool things that I was able to do for Phantom Menace, which was pretty interesting in retrospect. This is okay. So all the Star Wars sites back then were just buzzing because, the internet was still relatively fresh and Star Wars was coming back and blah, blah, blah. But everybody, I had made friends with Philip Wise, who ran Rebel Scum at the time.
Yeah.
And I had gone out to a Walmart. This is back when I used to go. I would do like late night runs when Walmart was 24 hours and look around and see if I could find anything. And about 3 weeks, maybe before the Toys street date, because they had a street date, of course, I found the entire assortment of the Galoob style ships, the Action Fleet.
Cool.
The blue, they were blue boxed when it was for Phantom Menace.
Yeah.
And there were like 6 or 7 ships and a couple of packs of accessories, smaller things. And so I looked at my wife and I said, grab one of each of these. And so we grabbed them. We went up to the front and they wouldn't scan. And so they called the manager over. And this is long before a lot of people were hip to, okay, this is locked, street date. Just put them, we can't sell them to you. I mean, some people would do that back then, but this person said, it's weird that they're in the system, but they're not ringing up. So they literally got 3 or 4 employees to fan out into the store and find stuff that was equally priced. Just random stuff.
Yeah.
Like blow dryers and deodorant and just whatever.
Yeah.
And they scanned that stuff and handed me the toys. I kept that receipt for the longest time because it was just a random stuff, but it was the Star Wars toys. And then I emailed Philip Wise and I said, hey, Philip, I got these. Are you interested in seeing them or even like having them? And he goes, how quick can you get to Dallas? And I said, well, in the morning, it'll take me about 4 hours. He's like, well, if you're up for it, come on. So we literally drove to Dallas to Philip Wise's house. He took photographs of it. So he was the first website to have that stuff. I don't even think no in-package shots had been seen of that at the time.
And it's all because of you.
And it was all because of me and the nice Walmart people who fanned out and found the same price stuff because it wouldn't ring up. But yeah, it was back then it was really cool to kind of be a part of all that, be a part of that scene, even then, I was helping a news site break some news. I mean, which has always been in my character, is I've been a journalist for over 30 years.
Yeah. Tell me about this journalism career and like the first part that leads you into the first toy project almost. Like, tell me, how did you go to school for journalism? How did this ignite? Okay.
I did. I went to Texas A&M
Cool.
University, which is just up the road from here. I actually my first year, I was a meteorology major. I was going to be a weatherman.
Mm-hmm.
And I failed engineering calculus, and my advisor, my guidance counselor, whatever his name, whoever he was, said, maybe you should look into the liberal arts. And I had a friend who, actually the girl I took to prom in high school was in the journalism school at A&M. She goes, why don't you come to the journalism school? You can write. And I said, yeah, okay. Because at that point I didn't really know what to do. So I went to journalism school, graduated with the very rare Bachelor of Science in journalism. Usually people get Bachelor of Arts in journalism.
Yeah.
But I had meteorology courses already, so I transferred to science better than me and having to take a language or whatever. So, after that, I poked around for a job and I ended up getting my first job, writing a newsletter all about the oil and gas business in the Gulf of Mexico. So offshore drilling and stuff. And that begat another job as a oil field journalist, and another job as an oil field journalist, and another job as an oil field journalist. So I've been an oil field journalist for 30 plus years.
Man, how much can you write on the oil fields?
You would be surprised, man. I mean, it was to the point where, I would fly out to some of these rigs in the Gulf and, hang out and, talk to people about the project or what well they're drilling and all that stuff. Oil companies buy other oil companies. There's all kinds of, mergers and acquisition stuff. There's all kinds of, like right now, one of the big things was a few, years back, the energy transition, about all these oil companies were seeing the end of the road when it comes to oil. So let's start dabbling into solar and wind and wave and all that stuff. Of course, that went in the tank when they realized that people still need oil. And then now with everything that's going on in Iran, with the Strait of Hormuz blockage and all that stuff, that's all we've been messing with. But that, you don't want to know about that. And, but toys are a product of petroleum because they are plastic. So there you go. But so what oil, and this gets to your point finally, what oil field does to you is it's a lot of, there's a lot of science behind it. So there's a lot of, you really have to stay on top of things and learn the technologies and learn all this stuff. And it can be draining and at times not very creative.
Yeah.
And I've always been kind of a creative guy. So I always looked for another outlet for my creative writing. I've tried to write a novel before and that's never worked out. I've tried to write, a couple of different, comic books and that's never worked out. And finally, I kind of took my love of toys and married the two. After I did a really short run in 2014 of a little online magazine called Little Plastic Men.
Okay.
It was a toy magazine. It was free. I just put it out there. And then I was like, okay, I was doing it quarterly and I was like, you know what? It's kind of a waste of time.
Yeah.
So I wasn't going to do it anymore. And I got a lot of feedback. I'd never heard from anybody the entire year. But then when I said I wasn't going to do it anymore, I heard from a lot of people who said, oh, don't do that. We love it, blah, blah, blah. Can you, so my fans or whatever. So I said, okay. So I said, I'll do one more and we had a column in the magazine called Prototypically Unproductive. And it was all about unproduced toys. So we did like second series of Sectors and second series of Earthworm Jim. And so we did a bunch of stuff like that, the stuff that we knew that was prototyped but never got put in stores. So I said, okay, so I'll do one more. I'll make it all this unproduced stuff and I'll put it on, it's kind of a farewell here. This is, because that was a real popular column. And so I started digging. The more and more I started digging, I was like, man, this really deserves to be something bigger than just a PDF on the internet.
Yeah.
Somebody should write a book on this stuff. And so this was December, I guess, of 2014. So in February 2015, I went to Toy Fair and I dummied up like 20 pages of what a book could look like. And I took it to all my toy contacts and basically slid it across the table and said, talk me out of doing this. And everybody's like, oh, what are you crazy? This is awesome. I'd love to, read more about this kind of stuff. I said, okay, well, if you're willing to read more about it, are you willing to help me?
Mm-hmm.
Because you have stuff, in your back catalog or whatever that you prototyped and you never put out for whatever reason. And so the majority of everyone was really on board. They were like, yeah, I mean, it shouldn't be. I mean, it's some of the stuff, the toy companies don't, I mean, the licensors don't exist anymore. The toy companies that made the stuff don't exist anymore. So, I mean, okay. So I came back from that show and I looked at my wife and I said, hey, it looks like I'm writing a book. And so I started, and it took about 2 years to write the first one. Mm-hmm. And it was ended up being like 220 something pages, probably had like 21, 22 different lines in it. Mm-hmm. It was a coffee table book. I wish I had one. I should have prepared better. It was like a coffee table, it's a horizontal coffee table type book, hardback. And we went to Kickstarter with it and it funded. Mm-hmm. And I called it Toys That Time Forgot Volume 1, not because I had actually planned on doing another one, but I wanted people to realize this isn't everything. I mean, this is just a sampling of stuff that's out there in the ether. And, some people are giving me grief about, well, we can find all that on the internet. I said, oh, really? You mean toys that actually predate the internet? You're going to be able to find information about them on the internet? I said, not unless somebody physically scans something and put it up there. You're not, So during that 2-year span, I actually traveled a ton, went and visited old, ex-executives, guys, sculptors, artists, sat down in their homes and had dinner with them and talked to them about these old projects. And it was really, really an interesting 2 years. I met a lot of really cool people. And I actually told a lot of people that, if that book never funded and it never got out, I wouldn't have taken back a minute I spent putting it together, just because it was just so much fun. And I made a ton of friends and people I still get Christmas cards from, mm-hmm. It's, so after it funded, of course, everyone was like, where's volume 2? Where's volume 2? Where's volume 2? And I was like, oh God, I didn't, this wasn't in the plan, but, I was like, okay. So I basically announced that I would do volume 1, volume 2 and volume 3 at the same time. And, so over the next 4 years, I took them to Kickstarter over the 2-year periods, and they all funded and we got them all out. And, volume 3 was a real pain in the butt though, because I did that during the pandemic. Yeah. And so I couldn't travel. So I was kind of beholden to either stuff I'd already collected or just doing this, talking to people via Zoom or what have you. And it just didn't have the same effect. Mm-hmm. And I even had some people mail me prototypes in the US mail.
Holy moly.
To take pictures of. And I told him, I said, you do not have to do that. Yeah. I perfectly understand if you do not want, oh no, it's fine. I'm like, okay.
It's almost like they don't recognize the history they're mailing.
Yeah. I mean, there's some of that, but then there's others, that I think, usually by the time the third book went around, I would offer to send, a new person a copy of the first book just to let them know that, hey, because we had a bunch of dinged corner ones that I didn't want to sell to customers or whatever. So we'd send them, out. It's like, hey, this is what I'm doing kind of thing. Just so they didn't realize, A, I was some sort of maniac, or B, mm-hmm. I didn't want to come to their house and loot their attic or whatever. Cause those people are out there. But it was a really fun exercise. But I managed to get the ones that were sent to me. I got them photographed and sent back and everything. There were no casualties. So that was really, really beneficial. Then after the book's wrapped up, it was like, everybody's like, where's volume 4? Where's volume? And they go, you know what, guys, let's call it a trilogy, shall we? I don't really, that was 8 years of my life. Let's just, let's move on. And so I started looking at other things to do. And I was like, I really had a lot of fun writing these stories about toys we didn't get to play with as kids. What about writing some stories about stuff we did get to play with as kids? And I was like, a book doesn't really seem like the richest format for that. I said, but a magazine, that might work. And so there were no more toy magazines at that time. We lost the last one in 2016 or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
as far as the big three is concerned. And by big three, I mean Toy Fair, Lee's, and Tomarts.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a reason for that. Those guys, their business model was to break news, was to show you what was coming. Well, the internet crushed that business model, and they never adapted.
Yeah.
So I knew ToyCollectr we couldn't do that. But what we could do is do some of these kind of deep dives into these lines, talk to the same thing I did for the unproduced toys, talk to the people who were there in the trenches, making it happen. Get some stories maybe you've never heard before about the lines that you played with as kids or actively collect now. And then as icing on the cake, I said that I would attempt to have an exclusive reveal on every cover.
Okay. That's
something the internet told me I couldn't do, because it goes to the internet first. You won't be breaking any news. So I am getting ready to send issue 25 to the printer next week.
Mm-hmm.
And that will mark the 25th cover that I've had exclusive reveals on.
Yeah, which is amazing. I have, if we can go back
to yours, internet.
Yeah. If we can go back to the books a little bit, I mean,
sure.
Going through the process, because it's a project of passion is what it is. And you loved doing this. You love toys. Your journalism flows through you. And so doing this, there's no rhyme or reason that it would fail or succeed. Like, we have no information surrounding it. And so putting it up, and all of a sudden you have this successful Kickstarter, the first one. Mm. Do you remember like that feeling surrounding it of like, holy hell, now I got to make the book?
Well, the beauty of the first Kickstarter was the book was done.
Oh, okay.
All I was doing at that point was I was doing a little bit of the last bit of layout,
mm-hmm.
and the Kickstarter was just going to fund the printing.
Cool.
So, and if I could recoup any travel costs at that point, fine. Yeah. But the book was done. So that was one of the things that I wanted to make sure. I tried to do that for each of them, but it failed miserably. Yeah. But for the first one, it was done. But I mean, the Kickstarter experience, I mean, I'd sum up Kickstarter like this. It's 24 hours of jubilation, 27 days of,
yep.
And then 48 hours of, oh my God, is this going to happen or not? Because we funded on the last day. And I was like, come on, guys. I was like, I didn't know that we would make it, but we did. And we actually overshot pretty well, but I was sweating it the whole time, man. Fortunately, the next two funded kind of in that 22 day period. So I didn't have quite the manicness. I mean, look, hair's gone,
Hey, we're there.
Yeah. It was like, it completely fell out.
I have such a love for those types of things. Early on, we had interviewed, I mean, we've been going on for 5 years. We interviewed Scott Hensey, and the dream was to like, how do we create a coffee table book of just everything you've done? And we've just lost connection over the years, but it was like, there's so much that hasn't been talked about in the toy community. And so to make it in print means it's with us forever now. And there's something that's so good about that.
Well, that was the other thing. When I started this project, and it holds true now, even worse. If you were 30 making toys in the 80s, you're in your 70s now.
Yeah.
And almost 80, so we were going to lose these guys if someone didn't get in front of them. And we've lost plenty of them,
mm-hmm.
So I was like, okay, it's now or never, to start getting this stuff together. So I was fortunate enough to be able to talk with a lot of folks that, that were, like I said, in the trenches, so to speak. But I mean, there were plenty of them. Even since I've interviewed them, we've lost. And it's how many other stories went with that, I always go back to that. And this is not, game. I mean, this is not toy related necessarily, but the father of Intellivision. I always forget his name. His name was Jerry something, a white-haired guy. He died when he was 61 years old. And I don't think anybody got a microphone in front of that guy and really got a good sense of the history of Intellivision from, and it's a crime. It's really just, I would have loved to have been that guy, but never gonna have a chance.
You brought up in passing Earthworm Jim, and I'm a diehard Earthworm Jim fan.
I can make you sick, man.
was that one of the toy lines that you got to see prototypes for? Because they in that magazine, or in that I don't know what they're called, when like toy companies
catalog.
There you go.
Yeah.
They have the shooter. And
the worm shooter.
Yeah. And that one, I mean, that thing has been label slapped like 4 or 5 times for different companies, but that one never got made. Did you ever see that? It exists somewhere.
I never saw the shooter.
Okay.
But hang on a second. So that
you have the 3.
That is a painted test copy of Evil Jim. That is an unpainted copy of Samurai Jim. And back behind there is the wax of Clutch.
Holy moly. It's incredible. That's incredible.
And then, hang on. Oh, I'm not done. That is the Hamsternator still in his silicone mold.
Holy jeez. That's like, either that is straight from the factory or from the people that are sculpting these things.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And then that's my ink on paper original Earthworm Jim drawing from Doug Tenaple.
Holy jeez.
That's probably,
you've got me beat for sure.
26 by 40 or something. That's huge.
That's incredible.
And then two more. This is the original turnaround of Copterhead Jim.
Oh, he's amazing.
Or Extendo. This may be Extendo Arm. Which one is this? It just says Cyber Jim, but it's Extendo Arm.
That's incredible. It's just beautiful. It's beautiful.
And I also have the original pencil on vellum of the chopper, the motorcycle that they didn't put out. It's a much bigger drawing and it's not framed.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I'm a bit of a Jim fan myself.
Yeah. He's such a wild, character and IP, and I absolutely love it. Going through these books, I mean, doing the first 2, you have this like wild success, and you're doing 2 and 3 together, and then having to do it through Zoom. With some of these guys being the age that they were, that kind of, it's challenging.
Yeah.
And do you see a difference? You said it wasn't the same. So do you see a difference when you had to move to Zoom that is in the 3rd book that feels a little different?
Well, I mean, by the time I got to the 3rd book, I was doing a lot of lines that, and the third book actually is my favorite, because it contains a lot of what the hell kind of toy lines. Is like, because I started learning more and more about lines that not necessarily were extensions of existing stuff, but stuff that just was pitched, that was prototype, but for whatever, and you soon find out, it's like, yeah, we're not doing that. I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
So, but a lot of it's, just really wacky off the wall. So, and then there's stuff that like in the 3rd book, there's a big section on Centipede. Because at the time it was 98, 99, Hasbro had a group, called I'm going to get this wrong. Something along the lines of the Imagination Factory, but that's not it.
Okay.
It's the Something Factory. Anyway, it was a group of artists that they gave special projects to, that would go and draw and try to create something. So at the time, Hasbro had just purchased the rights to a bunch of video games. And one of them was Centipede. And so they decided that they were going to make an animated series out of Centipede.
Cool.
And launch a big toy line for Centipede. And so they did a ton of work. I mean, they did animation tests and all these different drawings. They built this world, and these, scripts were flying everywhere. And it was announced the Cartoon Network actually announced that it was coming and all this stuff. And it just never happened.
Yeah.
It was one of those things where, when I ask, you get a bunch of people kind of staring at their feet about why. And basically the answer that I believe to be true was like, they just couldn't, they just didn't pull the trigger. They just, no one wanted that on their resume if it failed, I guess. Yeah. Because they'd put so much work into it. And they just, at the end of the day, nobody could muster the courage to greenlight it. And,
oh my gosh.
And it was just, it was a shame because the animation test stuff looked really unique. There was cell shading and stuff long before across the, Spider-Man across the universe, or whatever those Spider-Man ones are. There was all this, the world looked really cool. The toys looked really neat, the concepts that they were going to have. But it just didn't happen.
That's insane. Going through all this and then getting up to the decision point of wanting to do the magazine, which calling it a magazine doesn't do it justice because it feels like way more pages than a magazine. It's thicker. It feels like, I don't know how to describe what it feels like.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to do from the very beginning was I wanted to make it a collectible in and of itself. I didn't want it to be a, kind of a comic booky, stapled, something that you could flip through and then, throw away or put in a John or whatever you do with old magazines. I wanted it to be on your toy shelf, as, 1 through 25 or however many we end up having, as a reference, where you could go and say, hey, this is that one. This had, this had the thing about, Barnyard Commandos. Let's read that. Let's see what that is again. So you flip through it and you see the thing. Or this one had, Toxic Crusaders, or this one had. So, that was the thing from the beginning. And I didn't want to cheapen, the experience. Cause I've had, it costs a lot more to do it the way I'm doing it. Which is one of the reasons the magazine costs $14.99.
Which is still really cheap.
Well, like not to some people, but, but for the most part, I wanted to be able, like I said, I wanted this to be part of people's collections. So, and I think that the majority of people who get this do not throw them away.
Right.
And that was the goal.
Going through deciding to do it. One, I want to talk about that because that's a big decision because it's going from, I've just done 3 Kickstarters to I want to do something that comes out regularly.
That never stops. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, you went from telling the crowd, like, let's call it a trilogy to I want to start something endless. And that's a jump.
I'm going to be in your mailbox every 2 months.
Yeah. So tell me about the first magazine, one, and how you told your wife, like, I'm doing this. This is what I want to do. Yeah.
So the funny part is because we would go, I did the same thing for the magazine that I did for the books. When it came, I created a proof of concept and I actually printed it. There's an issue 0 out there, that was like 24 pages of content about what a new toy magazine would look like. And this was in December of 21. I flew out to LA and basically sat down with anybody who would see me, any toy company that would see me out there, and did the same thing. I slid that proof of concept across the table and said, talk me out of doing this.
Yeah.
And, they flipped through it and they were like, I think maybe you're onto something. I think maybe it is time. We've been without one for quite a while. It was going on 10 years at that point, or 8 years. So I think it was knowing me through the books and knowing that I typically deliver on what I set out to do. Mm-hmm. It gave the companies that I spoke with enough confidence, because I think I talked with 6 or 7, maybe 6 companies and a bunch of individuals during that trip. And I walked out of every meeting with the company with an ad commitment. And I couldn't show them.
That's huge.
I couldn't show them any distribution. I couldn't show them any subscription base. They just believed.
Who are these companies? Tell me these. Yeah.
The first people the first people that came on board were people like Super 7.
Cool.
And Playmates.
Okay. And Playmates coming on is crazy.
Playmates has been the inside back cover all 25 issues. Big Bad has been the back cover on all 25 issues. Yeah. Super 7 has been the inside front cover all 25 issues. Those have been locked in since day one.
Yeah.
And then some of the other early adopters, like Nacelle was an early adopter. Mm-hmm. The Loyal Subjects was an early adopter. Since then, the people have jumped off and jumped back on and jumped off. Jazzwares wasn't right away. They came on later. The auction houses, Hakes and Heritage both jumped in pretty quick. Hakes was from day one. I think Heritage followed when they realized what Hakes was doing. So yeah, it was, a lot of folks like that. And then we've had people advertise their Kickstarters. We just had, what was this one? Where Rise of the Nexus did theirs. Yeah. I mean, they advertised their Kickstarter.
Amazing.
So, I mean, it's been, that's been a journey too, because a lot of people, I know this, but when I say that I am this magazine, I do the majority of the editorial content. I do 100% of the layout. I do 100% of the ad sales. I do 100% of the description. If your sub gets lost in the mail, I'm the guy that puts it in the baggie and puts the postage on and sends the replacement to you. There's no help on this end. This is a side gig. This is not my day job.
Oh,
so I mean,
but you love it.
Yeah. I wouldn't do it if I didn't love it. Yeah. And somebody, my wife, back to that for a second. I came back from that meeting in LA and said, "Hey, it looks like I'm starting a magazine." She wasn't quite as excited about that one.
Yeah.
As she was the books. Because there's no, there is an end game. Eventually this will stop happening. Mm-hmm. Now, will it stop happening because I can't afford to do it anymore? Trust me, we're heading in that direction. Mm-hmm. The way that, pricing keeps going up. My logistics pricing keeps going up because gasoline keeps going up. Paper costs keep going up. Advertisers come and go. There's been plenty of times where I was like, we're going to be able to get this one out. And, so far we've been able to make it happen. I would love, in a perfect world, to get a company to come on board and, say, hey, we'll, let us buy this from you. Mm-hmm. And then we will continue to do it, give you a 2-year contract to stay on board and do your thing. And then, we'll take it, from there afterwards, because I've said this multiple times, maybe not out loud, but this magazine deserves better than me.
Oh my, that's such a big statement.
But I'm not saying that I'm not good enough for it. It deserves better than me alone.
Yeah.
It deserves to have a dedicated ad team, a dedicated social media person, a dedicated salesperson, and it just doesn't have it.
Yeah.
So, I would very much like to have that. And there's only so many ways to get that done. I'm not really in a position to hire a bunch of people. The best thing would be for someone with that type of infrastructure to come in and just and take it, which I am open to. Anybody out there, let's talk.
Yeah. Doing that first one, having those ads, and then, but also having the issue 0, so you kind of know how it was going to happen. What was it like building the first one? Because who are you building it for when you first launch?
So the first one, the odd story about that is the first one I had the longest time to produce that one, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, it was like, this can come out whenever I want it to, basically.
Yeah.
But I announced it coming out in the fall of 22. So we put it together and it ended up being 72 pages, I think.
That's a book.
I was like, okay, that looks fine.
Yeah.
And that's been the shortest magazine I've done, the entire 25 run. It got to a standard of, I think the second one was like 92 pages.
Oh my gosh.
And then some of them have fluctuated, but I've mostly tried to hang out around the 84 page mark. Okay. Most of the ones in the past several issues have been 84 pages. I think the one that we're working on now is a few less than that, but usually it comes in around 84 pages. And that includes the features, the news, the reviews, and everything that goes into one. And it gives it a nice consistency. It feels substantial in your hand, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So
looking over your 25 issues and what you've built and all of the gusto you've put into this, what's next?
Yeah, good question. The train keeps rolling, right? There's no, I would love to be able to branch out into some other things. I mean, I've done other artistic projects since this is a different company, but I did my first graphic novel not that long ago.
Amazing.
It's called Moonman Zero. This is an alternate cover, not the actual A cover. So we did this on Kickstarter last year. And so I'm in the middle of writing the second and third one of those. I have, an idea for a kid's book that I've been kicking around that I'm trying to get up off the ground. I'm also doing I won't call it a movie script, but I'm doing basically me and a buddy are storyboarding an animated movie together. Mm-hmm. He lives local, so we get together and literally just pass it between the two. He draws one, and I draw one, and he draws one, and I draw one, and he draws one, and I draw one. So we've been doing that for off and on for quite a while, actually, but because we can't get together that often, we haven't made a ton of progress there, but have a good time doing it. Mm-hmm. Does anything ever come of any of that? I don't know, but I'm having fun.
Yeah.
It's fun to do. If something does come of it, then awesome. All the better. But I mean, to see like this has been in my head since 2008. Mm-hmm. And finally I got something, material to show people and to tell the story of this particular guy. So I'll be, I'm heading to Comic-Con next week. Awesome. So I'll be out there, schlepping for both ToyCollectr and Moonman Zero, actually. So should be a lot of fun. Tiring, but fun.
Oh, that's amazing. The last part of the podcast is really just where you can plug everything you've got going on, where people can get in touch with you if they want to advertise, how they can get subscription, how they can get Moonman, all those things. So please plug away.
All right. So, Toy Collector, the easiest way is to subscribe. You can go to ToyCollectr.com, click the subscribe button. It'll take you to a page where you fill in your information, and it is $69 a year for 6 issues, which is about $2.50 saving off of the cover price. And you get it delivered straight to your mailbox. That's the U.S. price, and U.S. based subscribers. International subscribers, Canada, it's $89 US, and anything international beyond that's $109. Again, you can do all that through the website. If you're interested in Moon, and back issues of Toy Collector are almost 100% available at all times through Big Bad Toy Store or toystalker.com. For Moonman Zero, we did the Kickstarter for it, but if you are interested in buying a copy at all, Big Bad is your destination again. BigBadToyStore.com will have copies of the graphic novel. If you're interested in the Toys of Time Forgot books, a couple places you can get those. You can get those through BigBadToyStore.com or the NacellStore.com will also has them in stock. As far as socials, Facebook is facebook.com/ToyCollectr. Instagram is @ToyCollectr. X is @ToyCollectorMag. And then Moonman Zero's basically the same. Facebook is facebook.com/MoonmanZero. Actually, Instagram is @GibbusCreative because it's just a lump of all my creative endeavors put together. But Moonman is the number one thing on there. What else? Email. If you're interested in emailing me, Blake@ToyCollectr.com will get to me for Toy Collector business. Anything else, unproducedtoys@gmail.com will get to me for Toys of Time Forgot type stuff. And yeah, I think that's about it.
Man, no shortage of anything. Blake, thank you so much for coming on Toys on Tap.
Yeah, man. Had a good time. Thanks.